The rain had stopped. For days only the sound of water had filled their ears. Now, a deep quiet settled over the world. The great ark, their home for so long, was still. It rested gently. Noah, the wise old man, felt the change. He moved to a window. He looked out. What would he see? He hoped for land. He prayed for a new start. His heart beat with a mix of fear and anticipation for the unknown that lay before them. His wife stood beside him. His sons, Shem, Ham and Japheth, gathered near. Their wives, too. They were a small group. They were the only people left. The whole world had been covered by water. Now the waters were going down. Noah opened the window wider. A bird flew out. It was a dove. It flew far away. Then it came back. It had a small leaf in its beak. This was a sign. Land was near. Hope filled the ark once more after many long months. Finally the day came. The ark settled on a mountain. Noah pushed open the heavy door. Bright sunlight streamed in. It was dazzling. The air smelled fresh. It smelled of wet earth and clean beginnings. Noah stepped out. His feet touched soft, damp ground. He looked around. Mountains rose in the distance. Valleys spread out below. It was a new world, a world washed clean by the flood. It was beautiful, yet so very different from the world they once knew, filled with silent majesty. His family followed him out. They looked with wide eyes. The world was vast. It was green where the waters had receded. It was brown where mud still lay thick. There were no houses, there were no roads, there were no signs of other people, only them and the animals. The animals were still inside the ark. They were waiting. This new world was their future. It was a blank page. They had to write their story on it, a story of survival and renewal, a testament to their faith. The first challenge was finding food. The plants they knew were gone. The fruit trees had been uprooted. Noah's family searched the land. They looked for anything edible. They found some new plants. They tasted them carefully. Some were good, some were bitter. They needed to learn quickly. What was safe? What would give them strength? Hunger was a constant companion in those early days. Their supplies from the ark would not last forever, and the task of cultivating this new land was daunting. Shelter was the next big problem. The ark was their home for now. But it was a boat on a mountain. They needed houses. They needed protection from the sun and the rain that might come again. The ground was still soft. Building was very hard. They had simple tools. They had their hands. They looked for strong trees that had survived. They looked for flat stones. Every log was heavy. Every stone was a burden. They worked from sunrise to sunset, their bodies aching with the effort. Sometimes a great sadness fell upon them. They remembered their old world. They remembered their friends and their homes. This new world felt empty. It felt lonely. The silence was so big. Only their voices and the sounds of nature filled the air. They were truly alone, pioneers on a reborn planet. Could they do it? Could they build a new life here? The task seemed so huge. It was more than just building homes. It was rebuilding humanity itself from its very foundations. Fear sometimes whispered in their hearts. The flood had been terrifying. Would such a thing happen again? God had promised it would not. A rainbow was the sign, but still the memory was strong. The new world was wild. There were new dangers they did not yet understand. They had to be brave. They had to trust in God. They had to trust in each other. Their small community was the only shield they had against the vastness and the uncertainties of this changed earth. Then came the animals. One by one they stepped out of the ark. Pairs of every kind, big animals, small animals. Birds flew into the sky, reptiles crawled onto the land. The mountain around the ark came alive with sounds and movement. Noah watched them. These creatures were also survivors. They were part of God's plan. They were not just animals, they were companions in this new adventure. They held a key to their future, a living link to the world that was and the world that could be. Noah and his family soon realized the animals could help. The strong oxen with their broad shoulders could pull heavy logs. This made building easier. The horses could help them travel further to explore. The gentle sheep provided wool. Noah's wife and daughters-in-law learned to spin the wool into yarn. They wove cloth for clothes to keep them warm during the cool nights. The animals offered their strength, their resources, and their silent company, reducing the immense burden on the few human shoulders. Even the smaller creatures played their part. Birds carried seeds in their droppings. Soon new plants began to sprout in unexpected places. This helped bring back the greenness to the land faster than they could plant by hand alone. Bees started to make hives, and soon there was honey, a sweet treat. Dogs, loyal and watchful, helped guard their small settlement. They barked at any strange sounds in the night, giving the family a sense of security. This intricate web of interdependence was a lesson in humility and cooperation. A new relationship formed between humans and animals. It was not just about using them, it was about working together. They shared the new world. They depended on each other. Noah taught his children to be kind to the animals. They were a gift. They were essential for survival. This partnership was a cornerstone of their new society, a reminder that all life was interconnected and precious. The animals were not just beasts of burden, but fellow pioneers, sharing the struggles and the small triumphs of creating a new beginning. Slowly, very slowly, things began to change. The first simple shelters were built. They were small, but they were homes. Noah and his sons learned to till the soft earth. They planted the seeds they had saved. They planted the seeds the birds had scattered. Small green shoots pushed through the soil. It was a sign of life. It was a sign of hope. Seeing the first harvest, no matter how meager, brought tears of joy and relief to their eyes. The earth was giving back. The sounds of life grew stronger. Children were born to Noah's sons. Their laughter echoed in the valleys. It was a sweet sound. It chased away some of the loneliness. Little footsteps ran on the new paths. The family grew. Their small settlement expanded. They learned which berries were good. They found clean water springs. They learned the rhythms of this new land, the changing seasons and the patterns of the stars above. They were no longer just surviving, they were beginning to thrive. They built an altar to God. They thanked Him for their lives. They thanked Him for the new world. They remembered the lessons of the flood. They tried to live good lives. They taught their children to be kind. They taught them to work hard. They taught them to respect the earth and all its creatures. The memory of the past served not as a shadow, but as a guide to build a more righteous and harmonious future. This gratitude became the bedrock of their community. This was their modern adventure. It was not about old stories in a dusty book. It was about living. It was about starting again. Noah and his family showed the world something important. Even after the biggest storm, life can find a way. Hope can grow in empty land. With faith, hard work, and by helping each other, a new world can be built. Their story is a message that echoes even today. Resilience is powerful, and a new dawn always waits after the darkest night.